Ya, berarti harus turun tangan kakak baru lihat meet-nya. Halo, Doi. Ini. Oh gitu.
Oke, bagus kok, Kak.
Oke, good morning, Ridoy.
Good morning, Ibu Ika Putri Simarmata.
Semoga lancar ya hari ini, nggak ada hambatan di. Ya, berarti harus turun tangan kakak baru lihat meet-nya. Halo, Doi. Ini. Itu suara siapa tuh? Oke, good morning, Ridoy.
Good morning, Ibu Ika Putri Simarmata.
Loh, bukan aku yang ngomong. Hari ini nggak ada hambatan di.
Nggak apa-apa,
Ya, berarti harus turun tangan kakak baru lihat meet-nya. Halo, Doi. Ini. Dr. Ahmad Samsuri belum masuk ya? Sudah?
Belum.
Good morning, Dr. Ahmad Samsuri.
Morning.
Yeah, how are you?
Good.
Okay, great. My name is Ika.
Dr. Ika. Good morning.
Yeah. Okay, Dr. Samsuri.
Yeah.
We still have about 10 minutes to begin our session.
Okay.
Let me tell you that you have about 45 minutes to present.
Okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah,
Is it okay?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we can continue to the Q&A session.
Okay.
About 40 minutes.
So I will control my slide from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it okay?
Okay.
Okay. So is that anything that I need to know prior to the session?
About our attendees.
Yes.
Our attendees are psychologists.
Okay.
And then a student of psychology.
Okay.
And some of us are researcher and PhD student.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many participants altogether?
Can you help me, Ms. Ridoy, how many participants we have already now? Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. We have about 15 participants here,
Okay.
but we still have about 9 minutes.
Yeah.
We can wait for another participant to join us.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So this is the third day of the conference, right?
Yeah, this is the third day.
5 days is very. So, Dr. Ika, you are from Universitas?
HKBP no mention University
Oh,
from North Sumatra Medan.
oh, North Sumatra, Medan. Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to Medan in 2011, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow. Okay. So maybe after this pandemic, you can come again here.
Yeah. So now you are in Medan?
Yeah.
Working from home or at the campus?
Sorry,
You are working from home or at the campus?
I work from office. Yeah.
Oh, from office.
Yeah. Today I work from office.
Now in Malaysia, we are in partial lockdown.
Okay.
So most of us are working from home.
Okay. Yeah. So you are from home now.
Yeah, working from home.
Yeah.
Hi, doctor. How are you, doctor?
Yeah, good, Subhan.
Hi. Nice to see you here.
So where are you now? In Gombak?
I'm in Gombak.
Okay.
But by the way, you are asking about the participant from this conference.
Yes.
The the abstract has been submitted is more than 180. Participant with a normal participant who is not presenting any abstract is about 50. So it's more than 200 for this event. Not only using Zoom, also live from YouTube. So
Oh,
participant who is not registered as participants can see your presentation by YouTube.
okay, good.
Okay. By the way, when participant asking as a question to you, are you able to read a text box, message text box, or we have to read the question?
Zoom. Is it on
Yeah.
Zoom? I think I can,
Oh, okay.
but usually I can. But because I read my slide,
Yeah.
so sometimes I cannot. So maybe Dr. Ika, if I didn't, I cannot see the chat box, so maybe Dr. Ika can help to
Yeah, of course.
read the question.
Yeah, I will read the question from the chat box for you.
Okay. Sometimes participant also asking from YouTube viewer also ask a question. In past 2 days, there also some participant ask a question from YouTube. Then Ika will ask. I will read the question to you.
Okay.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you need to confirm before we get started?
I think that's all for now. Um, so, oh, less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, less than 5 minutes. Okay. I'll return to the moderator. Ika.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
Subhan.
Good luck, Dokter.
Thank you.
Dr. Ahmad Samsuri,
Yeah.
we have about a minute. Are you ready to present your paper, Liz?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, shall we start?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. As you know, we are now entering the third day of our e-conference, international e-conference. Now our session with Dr. Ahmad Samsuri bin Muhammad. He will present about challenges for person with disabilities in the new norm of life. Okay, I will read some sort of CP of Dr. Samsuri. Dr. Ahmad Samsuri is a senior lecturer at the Department of Educational Psychology and Counseling, Faculty of Education, University of Malaya, as counselor educator and registered counselor with the Malaysian Board of Counselors. His specialization in rehabilitation counseling for persons with disabilities. His research interests include psychological well-being of persons with visual impairment, career counseling for persons with disabilities. He also actively involved with non-government organizations for persons with disabilities in Malaysia and certified trainer for disability equality training by Japan International Cooperation Agency. Besides that, he also writes various articles in academic journal. He also conducts many motivational talk and training for diverse population. Okay, Dr. Ahmad Samsuri, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Ika, for the introduction.
Yes, I'm glad to. So we now give you the floor. You can present your, and you can start your speech now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ika. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning to everyone. My name is Ahmad Shamsuri bin Muhammad, Senior Lecturer at the Department of Educational Psychology and Counseling, Faculty of Education, University of Malaya. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer for this e-conference for inviting me to share my thoughts, my experience, my knowledge on the challenges of persons with disabilities in the new normal of life. This is something that's very close to my heart, that the issue that I have been working for the many years, and yeah, it's not only for my academic purposes, but is only for advocacy, for the betterment of life for persons with disability in Malaysia in general, and in Southeast Asia, and in the across the globe, I can say. Before I begin, so allow me to share my screen. Wait, okay. So I think you can see my screen now.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. Yes, you can see, but I cannot see. So for your information, I'm born with visual impairment. So when we said persons with visual impairment, blind or visually impaired, it means that the person, it have two categories of blind visual impairment, which is totally blind and low vision. So those who are totally blind, they cannot see at all, or they only have a light perception, they can see a light. But for those who are low vision, they can see little bit. Some of them can read printed material, and some of them even can drive a car. So there are categories of visual impairment. So for myself, I'm totally blind, even though I can see a little bit, but still under the category of totally blind. Uh, still can see color. I can still can see large object. Um, I still can move around uh, with white cane. So, but for reading material, most of the time I will use braille reading material because I can also read large print, but it's going to take more time. So I prefer to read braille. For this presentation, I'm using computer with screen reader. So the software that I'm using right now will read the content on the screen to me. So, Dr. Ika, have you heard about screen reader before?
Not yet.
Not yet. So, for the benefit of everyone, I will let you hear the sound of the screen reader that
Okay.
help
Yeah.
me to navigate the screen or the my PowerPoint presentation.
Okay.
Challenges for persons with disabilities in the normal life. Challenges for persons with disabilities.
Can you hear that?
Yes. But I cannot understand what it
Because
says.
I can set the speed. I can set the speed.
Oh.
So it's depend on my which one I prefer because I'm already used to it. So I set for the fast speed, but I can adjust. So maybe some of you can understand.
Hmm.
References of menu E.
Wait.
Settings dot dot dot. Speech dictionary sub punctuation slash input gestures dot dot dot. Settings dot dot dot. Speech dictionary sub menu punctuation slash symbol input gestures dot dot. Settings dot dot dot. Speech dictionary sub menu D. Punctuation slash references sub full sub menu D. References text text. Reference full sub menu of D. Speech viewer S. Braille viewer D. Python console D. Manage dash on dot dot. Create portable copy. Front com registration mixing full dot dot. Full sub menu D.
Okay.
Slideshow dash. Challenges. Use no comments. Top screen. Zoom comments. Screen sharing. Screen sharing will stop as the share window is closed. Okay button. Screen sharing. Okay button.
Oh, I stopped the screen sharing.
Screen sharing will stop as the share window is closed. Dot. Okay button.
I need to share again. Never mind.
Challenges for people who need it. Zoom people are there. Challenges constantly for child row 1 column 3 constantly for Zoom minor row 1 column 2. Z people are there WND. Constantly challenges for people Zoom row 1 column 4. Zoom window Zoom window. Tab control home tab selected. Search edit. Zoom comma. Setting button. Reserve the meeting button. Zoom minor share screen button. Select a window or an application that you want to share window. Tab control basic tab selected check. Sharing with box comma click arrow key and app constantly for child select screen comma share with constantly for other than left parent. Constantly screen. Zoom minor share screen. Zoom row 1 column 2 constantly for child row challenges for people who need challenges for people who need the normal status bar slideshow toggle button press slide. Slideshow dash slide 1 left click. Challenges for people who need the Zoom minor row 1 column 3 Zoom minor share screen button. Select a window or an application that you want to tab control basic tab select sharing with box comma click arrow key to navigate PowerPoint slide screen comma PowerPoint slideshow show all windows dot share computer sound checkbox subject optimize screen share PowerPoint slideshow dash left bracket challenges for people who need tab control share PowerPoint.
Okay. So I think better for me to do not play with this the keyboard too much so that we can focus on the presentation. So I'm going to use my earphone again so that um, it will not disturb our session so that you can listen to my voice and at the same time go through my presentation slide. Otherwise, you keep listen to my screen reader, which is you can't understand what is the sound all about. So so you can see this my screen right now.
Yes.
Okay. So like the title that has been given to me is the challenges for persons with disability in the new norm of life. So I think this is very timely, is very one of the important topic, and the pandemic has been affected most of us for right now. And for myself, I'm in Kuala Lumpur right now, and we are in the partial lockdown, or in Malaysia we call condition movement control order. So some of us, including me, are working from home. All online lecture. We are conducting online lecture, and yeah, it's give some effect to most of us here, including persons with disability. Um, so today I will share the challenges, uh, but before we proceed, um, we need to understand who is persons with disability. Okay, because um, maybe some of you know persons with disability, with various term or various concept or term that you are using. Maybe differently able, what else? Impairment, or Indonesia they call penyandang disabilitas. Okay, so today I will, for the structure of our presentation, I will start with the definition of persons with visual impairment, the fact of persons with disability, the issue and challenges in the COVID-19, and how we can help the persons with disability, especially for us who are psychology students, psychologists, counselors, academicians, to facilitate or to help persons with disability go through this challenging time. So so persons with disabilities, okay, those who have long-term physical, mental, intellectual, and sensory impairment. Okay, so for those who have physical, mental, and intellectual and sensory impairment, they are still able. They are not disabled. But when the person who have impairment become disabled, when they interact with various barriers, because the barrier may hinder their full and effective participation in the society, and with the equal basis with others. Okay, so the person who have impairment, sometimes they are not disabled, but they become disabled because of barriers which hinder their full and effective participation in the society on the same equal basis with others. Let me explain. Okay, for example, person who are using wheelchair, you know, or in Indonesia they call kereta roda.
Roda. Kursi roda.
Kerusi roda, it's not kereta roda.
No.
Kerusi roda,
Kursi
penyanyian.
roda.
Yeah. So the person who are using wheelchair or kerusi roda want to go to shopping mall. Then from the Facebook, and he get to know that there are 70% discount for certain brand. So he would like to go to the shopping mall to buy the items. To the and when he reached the shopping mall, there are staircase before at the entrance, so that he cannot enter the shopping mall. But if the shopping mall is accessible, which is there is no staircase, or besides staircase, the shopping mall also equipped with ramp which is the lantai itu kan yang ada apa tu, yang bukit, seperti bukit itu kan. So if the shopping mall management is not only provide the staircase to the entrance, but also provide the ramp for those who are using wheelchair. So the person who are using wheelchair also can enter the shopping mall and go to the shop and buy the items that he wants. So where is the barrier in my in the example that I given just now? Is it on the person or in the at the staircase? Because if we remove the staircase, so that and we provide a ramp, the person can participate in the shopping. The person can go shopping. But if we didn't provide ramp, we just provide the staircase, so the person cannot enter the shopping mall. So the person who are physically impaired will become disabled when they interact with barriers. Same like for persons with disability, for persons who are visually impaired. For example, I'm working from home, okay, and now I'm giving my presentation, giving my speech from the comfort of my home with assistance of the software, my screen reading software, so that I can operate the slide on my own. But if my computer do not have screen reader, how can I operate the slide? How I can navigate from first slide to second slide to the third slide until the end of my presentation. So what I want to make you understand is the person who have impairment become disabled when they interact with barriers. So the barriers may hinder their full and effective participation on equal basis with others. So, for example, today we have, because the barriers has been break, so that I can operate the slide and give my lecture, have an interactive session with all of you later, because there is no barriers. So I'm able to conduct the lecture. But if we have barriers here, for example, there is no screen reader, so maybe I need help from the organizer to help me with the presentation. So I hope you understand the difference between persons with impairment and persons with disability. Impairment is on the person, but the person with impairment will become disabled when they interact with barriers, which is the barriers is the disability is not on the person, but is rely on the barriers that hinder their full participation. So with this, I also would like to emphasize here that the term which is persons with disability that has been used in United Nations actually is the correct term for those for persons with impairment, because it address, it's not only the impairment, but it's also address the barriers that make the person disabled. Okay. So with this also, I would like to, maybe some of you heard about the different term that has been used by some organization or certain people. For example, person with different abilities. Actually, the term uh, the, term that persons with different abilities, some of the people who are using that term, actually they have good intention, but the term do not address the real issues that has been faced by persons with disability. Okay, because persons with disability have same ability with all of you. Okay, but their ability is sometimes they become disabled because of the barriers. So same ability, but barriers that make the persons with disability less able or disabled. So there is no different ability. I cannot see, I cannot see your face, and I have no different ability because I cannot see ghost, I cannot see angel, I cannot see all the spirit and everything. So there is no different ability. Okay, I hope I will explain clearly, because some of people would like to use the term different ability, or in Indonesia they use defable. Okay, so please use the correct term, persons with disability. Okay, so from the definition that I shared with you just now, I would also like to share the fact sheet on PWDS, or on persons with disability, or the issues that has been faced by persons with disability um, throughout the. It's not only this issue is prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. So I refer to this based on UN website, United Nations website. Okay, 15% of people in this world live in some form of disability. Okay, it's estimated of 15%, or 1 billion people in this world live in some form of disability. This is from the World Bank 2015. 80% of persons with disabilities live in developing countries. Okay, and 20% of poorest people have some kind of disability. Okay, and for women with disability, they face double discrimination, or double barriers, which is discrimination because of their gender, and discrimination because of their impairment. And women and girls with disability also were vulnerable to abuse. Okay, just an example why women or girls with disability are vulnerable for abuse. For example, the girl with hearing impaired and also mute, having difficulty in speech, when the girl experienced sexual harassment by the adult, how the person is going to make a police report? They cannot hear, they cannot speak. Who going to speak for herself? The police officer understand the sign language? No. Most of the police officer don't know. Even myself also don't really know how to communicate in using sign language. So the girl with disability is one of vulnerable group who face discrimination and prompt for harassment. Sexual harassment, abuse. Okay, this is the from UN website. Okay, and I would like to mention here that what we are doing beside our act on legal measures in our country, like Malaysia, we have Persons with Disability Act 2008. I know that Indonesia also have. I can't remember what is that act name, which is 2016. We also refer the United Nations Convention on the Right of Persons with Disability, 2006. Okay, the convention emphasized the right of persons with disability in accessing education, employment, social activities, financial inclusion, and many more. So if you would like to know more about the rights of persons with disability, maybe later you can Google United Nations Convention on the Right of Persons with Disability, or UNCRPD. Okay, this also prior to the pandemic, 90% of children with disability in developing country do not attend school. So when you do not attend school, it's affect your almost entire of your life, because with education you can access employment, you can access healthcare, you can access various services. But without education, the barriers may further leave the children with disability behind. Okay, the global literacy of adult with disability is low as 3% and 1% for women with disability. Okay, even though the number of students with disability in higher education is increasing every year, but they are still remain underrepresented. Okay, not many universities have measures to take care of the right and the welfare of students with disability. Okay, in terms of employment, International Labour Organization estimated that 300 million workers with disability. 386 million of the worker have some form of disability. Okay, in some countries, especially in developing country, unemployment of among persons with disability as high as 80%. Okay, because of high rate of unemployment among PWDs, so some of them have become an entrepreneur or involved in self-employment compared to non-disabled. This is the statistic from United States, but I'm sure in Malaysia, in Indonesia, we have almost similar situation. Okay, for example, in Malaysia, most of my visually impaired friends operate massage center or reflexology center, or Indonesia they call tukang pijat, tukang pijat. So most of visually impaired involved in self-employment, especially as masseur or reflexologists. For persons with physical impairment, some of them involved in small businesses, involved in online businesses, and for those who are hearing impaired, some of them involved in business of designing or painting on some sort kind of related to graphic, because persons who are hearing impaired having difficulties in communicating, having difficulties in using the verbal language because they are using the sign language. So they are more on visual or graphical field. So as we discussed just now, the persons with impairment will become disabled when they interact with barriers. So what kind of barriers, okay, that might be faced by persons with disabilities? So we can group as follows. The first one is attitudinal barriers. Okay, attitude ataupun halangan sikap. Okay, what is attitudinal barriers? Okay, perception, prejudice, lack of awareness, okay, discrimination, okay, don't believe the abilities of persons with disability, okay, prejudice towards persons with disability, or this guy is visually impaired, they cannot teach, he cannot teach, this guy is using wheelchair, so we cannot take him for this job because it's quite difficult, he cannot perform. This guy is having difficulties in hearing, so it's difficult for us to interact with them. So no need to take. That's one, is this kind of attitude that create barriers for persons with disability. Okay, the second one is environmental barriers. Okay, which is include the building environment, the physical environment, our surrounding, which is not accessible or not accommodating to the needs of person with disability. For example, there is no ramp to the shopping mall, so there is no lift to go to level 5 to the 5th floor. So the persons who are using wheelchair cannot go to the office. The public transport is not accessible. The bus stop cannot be used for by the person who are using wheelchair because the pathway or the walkways are not accessible. Okay, because of the barriers, the persons with impairment stranded at home cannot go out to socialize, cannot go out to participate in sport activities, cannot go out to participate in cultural activities. The third one is communication barriers. Okay, there is no sign language interpreter. For example, just imagine one of the participants in this conference hearing impaired. So I'm talking, but He cannot hear anything, and there is no sign language interpreter. So the person hearing impaired only can see my PowerPoint slide, but cannot do not get the message that I'm delivered through my speech. So communication barriers. For persons with visual impairment, for the blind person, for example, nowadays we are using a lot of infographic, okay, to relay our message on Facebook, Instagram. Um, so the screen reader cannot read the graphic. So there are communication barrier here. Okay. The fourth one is institutional barriers. Some institution impose certain policy, certain regulation that hinder the participation of persons with disability. For example, uh, maybe some of you heard before, some airline prohibited persons with disability to board their aircraft. They need to sign the indemnity form uh, in order to fly. So that is the institutional barriers, or we call policy barriers. But among these four barriers, the severe or the greatest barrier is attitudinal barriers, because attitudinal barriers may lead to institutional barriers, may lead to communication barriers, and also may lead to environmental barriers. But if you change your attitude, you will eliminate all other barriers. Okay, beside that, because they are the persons with disability has been interact with all the barriers, they also may internalize the barriers in their self. Okay, and also when they internalize the barrier, it will further prevent their inclusion in the society. Okay. Beside that, lack of participation of PWDs, lack of data, okay, further hinder their participation in the society. Okay, because in order to formulate something new, in order to come up with the policy, in order to come up with the development program for persons with disability, we need to have evidence, we need to have data. But lack of the data, lack of evidence, lack of research in disability studies may lead to policies or development program which not correctly address the real issues of persons with disability. Okay, referring to current outbreak of COVID-19, how it's affect the persons with disability. Okay, for persons with visual impairment, some of the PWDs might have more healthcare needs. Okay, they have a regular appointment with medical doctors related to their impairment, and with this pandemic, okay, or this pandemic imposed more healthcare needs for persons with disability, because previously they already have uh, needs for their on healthcare for their related to their impairment. But in the COVID-19, the issue will double. Okay, the persons with disability who have um, needs, healthcare needs related to their impairment, because some of them might have a low immune system. So when they contract the COVID-19, it will further deteriorate their health. Okay, so that's why World Health Organization classified persons with disability during this pandemic one of the vulnerable group. Okay, some recommended COVID-19 measures, certain standard operation procedure might create the new barriers for persons with disability. Some SOP like um, physical distancing, only 2 persons are allowed in one vehicle might create the barriers for persons with disability. There are many measures, there are many SOP imposed by government in some countries to prevent the spread of COVID-19, then the measures might create the new barriers for persons with disability. Okay, being said that, shows that persons with disability among the group who are severely hit by the COVID-19. Okay, I'm not deny the fact that many people also affected by COVID-19, but with the previous situation of persons with disability prior to the pandemic and the current situation in the pandemic era is worse, more worse for persons with disability. Okay, these are among the issues that faced by persons with disability during this pandemic. Okay, representative of PWDs among older population, like WHO also emphasized that older generation also might have more cases of COVID-19 infection compared to the young adults. And for persons with disability who are adult, there is not enough representation, so that when the policy, the government formulate the policy for older generation, it might left the persons with disability. Okay, underlying health condition that may lead to serious complication when they also contract COVID-19. Okay, it's also the same representative of PWDs among people living in poverty. Okay, and the issues lead to challenges for persons with disability in this pandemic era. Okay, the first one is inaccessible information and communication. For example, the information on the on healthcare, on the information on COVID-19 cases in surrounding areas is not accessible for persons with hearing impaired because there is no sign language interpreter during the press conference. It's sometimes it's not accessible for the visually impaired because the government using infographic. Okay, the assistant or social support that government provide do not reach the persons with disability because communication and informational barriers. So they're left behind. They cannot get the assistance. They are more vulnerable to contract the virus because there is not enough information for them. Okay, because of lack of financial assistance or the socio-economic status, they are having barriers in accessing health services and wash facilities or facilities related to the personal protective equipment. Okay, the student with disability because we are conducting online learning. If the online platform use is not accessible, so they might leave behind. They cannot involve in the online learning. Okay, if they don't have the facilities, if they don't have the device, they cannot participate in the online learning. And for those who are persons with autism, stranded at home for certain of time, might give them some challenges because for children with autism, they usually depend on their daily routine. Okay, if you change their routine, they are having difficulty to adjust themselves. So it might cause some psychosocial issues. It might cause some, they might tantrum, produce like excessive behavior. Okay, might be dangerous or discomfort of their family members because they are having difficulty in adjusting themselves to the new normal. Okay, the persons who are visually impaired, who are using on tactile learning, or they need to touch to understand something. For example, if you want to teach mathematics, want to teach graph to the persons with visual impairment, so you need to emboss the graph, make the graph in tactile, in the braille form, so that the student can touch. But with the online learning, tactile learning is not impossible. Is impossible. Sorry. Okay, so it will further exclude the student with disability because of the accessibility of online learning. Okay, for the persons who are for the PWDs who depend on the personal assistant, okay, or assistance from others. Okay, the physical distancing might be an issue for them. Okay, the personal assistant for those who are living in the living center for persons with disability who need regular assistance. The assistant also having difficulty in providing assistance because of the physical distancing measures. Ya, pakai bahasa pun boleh. Yes. Kita sama-sama satu rumpun kan jadi faham. Saya pun sudah sering ke Indonesia, saya sudah sampai ke kilometer 0, saya sudah sampai ke Lombok. Dulu sebab saya suka jalan-jalan. Okay, previously because of the barriers, the persons with disability experiencing the social exclusion. Okay, but for during this pandemic, because some movement control order or some measures taken by government, the social exclusion may be more severe, more worse for persons with disability, because previously the person having difficulties to go out, but now his friend, his family also having difficulty to visit them. So social exclusion is most worse during this pandemic. Okay, social inclusion may lead to mental health issues. Okay, and by staying at home, confined at home, stranded at home with the family members, okay, they might also increase the probability of uh, violence and harassment. Okay. Okay. Same with others, employee without disability. The persons with employee with disability also experiencing pay cut or losing their job. Okay, many business are closed down. Many shop retrench their staff. Many company scale down so that the persons with disability is among the person who are losing their job. Okay, business owner with disability are struggling to maintain or to sustain their business. Okay, for example, for those who are running their massage center, because this time people are scared with the COVID-19, they stop get the service from reflexology or a massage service from the visually impaired mature. Okay, so they are the persons with disability are struggling with their business, but at the same time, less customer, but the cost is still there. They still need to incur the cost. For example, cost of rental, so they need still to pay the rental. Okay, NGOs, non-governmental organization or social enterprises who provide the services for disability or provide the employment for persons with disability also having difficulties in maintaining their operation. So it's affect the persons with disability, whether the client or the employer with disability, employee with disability. Okay. how we can support PWDs in the new norm of life. Okay. Okay, because the disability happened because of the barriers. So in order to support persons with disability, we need to break the barriers. So we need to ensure the inclusive protection of COVID-19 for persons with disability. Okay, how to ensure the inclusive protection for persons of COVID-19 for PWDs? Okay, break the barriers. If the communication, if the barriers, so break the barriers. If the message in infographic, change it to the text so that the persons with visual impairment can read the information. If there is no sign language interpreter during the press conference of the government official, the government must provide the interpreter. If we provide the counseling services or provide the psychotherapist for persons with disabilities, identify the barriers and break the barriers and accommodate the needs so that they also can involve in our therapy. Okay, so we need to ensure accessible and inclusive environment. It's not only in education, employment, but in healthcare services, in whatever we do. Okay, in our counseling session or psychotherapy session. Okay, so the government also must provide social protection for persons with disability because previously they're already affected by lack of income, but this in the new this current pandemic, the condition is more worse. Okay, and we also need to maintain and develop the support services, okay, for persons with disability during during the lockdown and the health crisis, because like I said, persons with disability is vulnerable group during this pandemic. Okay, this one focus more on psychologists, counselor, psychotherapists. Okay, okay. In order to help or in order to provide mental health support for persons with disability. Okay, the counselor or psychologist need to understand the experience and condition, experience and the process of disability. Okay, I already shared just now what is the issues, what is the challenges, and why these issues and challenges happen. This is because of the barriers. So the barriers is among the process that lead to disability. So in order, before we provide help, we need to have basic understanding of experience and process of disability. Okay, when giving counseling or psychotherapy to persons with disability, okay, we need to ensure that we are culturally sensitive. What I mean by culturally sensitive, okay, acknowledge the person as the person, acknowledge the client as the person, same like others, unconditional positive regards. Okay, the person with disability even they have impairment, but they also entitled for a right, the same right like others. Okay, they are also human, so they also need to be treated as equal with others. Okay. Okay. The counselor or psychologist also need to pay particular attention to the types of disability. Types of disability, like I mentioned earlier at the beginning of my presentation, which is physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairment. Okay, physical, whether the client was using wheelchair or uh, having difficulty in movement, sensory, whether the person was visually impaired or hearing impaired, okay, intellectual, autism, dyslexia, and etc. Okay, and avoid stigma and discrimination. Okay, um, like I said, unconditional positive regards. Okay, do not assume something that you are not sure, whether to ask the person. If you are not sure, it's good to ask the client to provide more understanding of the situation. Okay, just in case you need to refer the person, make sure the referring process is accessible for the client. Okay, because sometimes in rehabilitation counseling especially, we need to work, we cannot work in silo, we need help from other professionals. For example, we need to help from occupational therapists, we need help from social worker, we need help from um, psychiatrists. Okay, so make sure the referring process is accessible. Okay, so if you make your services, if you make your institution more inclusion, okay, you will ensure no one left behind in the new normal of life. Because if the measures or if your services, if your organization or institution is inclusive, you are not only accommodate the need of persons with disability, but you accommodating the need of everyone, persons who are pregnant, persons who are women, older generation, okay, because inclusion is not only for persons with disability. Okay, so the experience of persons with disability, I'm sure, will give you many benefit, many input to make your services, to make your organization more inclusive. Because, okay, the mechanism to promote inclusion will improve your organization. The organization will be more flexible, will be more accommodating, because during this new norm, we need to do a lot of adjustment, which is to accommodate the needs. And if you accommodate the needs of the disabled, I'm sure you are ready to, you are already accommodate the needs of everyone. Okay, by say that, okay, I end with thank you, and I invite question, any question. Okay, over to you, Dr. Ika.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Samsuri,
Yeah.
for your presentation. It is quite interesting, gives some insight and knowledge. So we are now open for the Q&A question for all of the participants. You can ask. You can ask and give some question to Dr. Samsuri by writing in the chat box. But first, I want to ask you, Dr. Samsuri. It is a question from my college.
Okay.
Yeah, as an individual with visual impairment, how you dealing with this situation all this time? Maybe you may share your personal experience. I mean, what drives you to teach, and etc. What you do this time?
Okay. So during the movement control order, um, most of academicians in my university are working from home, but we still need to conduct our class online. The supervision for postgrad student is still ongoing. So the assistive devices and um, knowledge on in using the um, assistive technology is very helpful. So in order for persons with visual impairment, um, for myself to cope with the situation, um, I need to equip myself with the knowledge how to operate the software for online learning, how to use Google Meet, how to use Zoom, to use Microsoft Team, because uh, sometimes this organization use Google Meet, sometimes this organization use Zoom, sometimes this organizations use Microsoft Team. So I need to learn new technology. But it's very good for myself because I experience the new things, add on to my knowledge, and I also is also the same with others also. Previously, we are not familiar with Zoom. Well, and now we can using Zoom in our to perform our um, teaching or to perform to do our supervision. Okay. Yes. Actually, it's not easy to cope, but uh, skill and knowledge of in the counseling field is very helpful, and at the same time um, support from family members and friends also is very crucial in this challenging time.
Mm, yeah, I see. So the support from family and friends, it is strenuous. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. To continue the question from Asina,
Mm.
I mean, for example, people who sit in the wheelchair,
Mm.
the big problem, it is not because he cannot walk, because he already has the wheelchair,
Mm.
but the big problem maybe because he is shy and feel embarrassed
Mm.
because of the stigma and also discrimination from the society.
Yeah.
So um, yeah, what is the best cope? What is the best cope to face um, people with disabilities who feel shy and embrace with their situation?
Okay. Because the persons who are using wheelchair face especially attitudinal barriers and environmental barriers. Attitudinal, like Dr. Ika said just now, is prejudice and stigma towards persons with physical impairment, and environmental barriers is the surrounding that not accommodate to the need of wheelchair user. So the important is we need to break the barriers, break the attitudinal barriers, break the environmental barriers, so the inclusion process can be expedited. Okay, break the barriers. How to break the barriers? Uh, you need to discuss with the persons with disability, because the persons with disability uh, are having more understanding about the condition and what is the barriers.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
So when we break the barriers, so we build the bridge and
yeah.
we can become inclusive society.
Okay, break the barriers. Great. Okay, Dr. Sam, sorry.
Yeah.
We have a participant who raised hand.
Mhm.
Maybe he wants to ask question. Please. We give time to the participant who raised hand.
So may I stop the screen
Yeah,
sharing,
yeah,
Dr. Eka?
yeah. Thank you, thank you. Yeah. Okay. Is there any participant who want to ask? Okay. So break the barriers. So I'm sorry if my question is too personal for you, but we want to hear your personal experience about how you break the barriers.
How I break the barriers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe it took a long way to break
Yes.
the barrier. Yeah.
Actually, it's not easy to
Yeah. Tell
break
us.
the barriers.
Yeah.
That's why um, um, I actively involved in non-governmental organization.
Yeah.
Like as Dr. Ika read my brief biography at the
Yeah.
beginning of our session, I'm involved in non-government NGOs. I'm serving National Council for the Blind Malaysia as a chairman for Committee on Employment and Economic Empowerment. I also chair the Committee on Human Development and Human Development uh, for Society of the Blind in Malaysia. So our advocacy work is ongoing.
Hmm.
It's not easy, and I also the certified trainer for disability equality training. Yeah, disability equality training is the module to um, prepare the participant to identify, to understand what is disability, and how they can overcome disability, how to break the barriers and make the society more inclusive. So through my NGO, through my university, I spread the message so that more people will get uh, more understanding about disability, so that we can break the barriers. For example, today, previously maybe you assume that disability is on the person, but today you understand the disability is not on the person, but disability is because of the barriers that make the person disabled. Okay, yeah, it's very long way, and
Yeah.
as a person, as an academician, and I would I will keep continue to advocate for the right of persons with disability um, in my country, and I also would like to extend my expertise to um, our friends here. If you need any help, maybe I can help because I also have a network in Indonesia. In Indonesia, we have Persatuan Tunanetra Indonesia, Pertuni. In Medan, they also have a branch there. Um, I know some of my friends who are actively involved in Pertuni, and maybe we can collaborate together in the near future.
Okay. Thank you. Dr. Samsuri, we have question from Ervina Siahaan.
Mm.
In your opinion, how should the education system be appropriate to accommodate the needs of children with special needs?
Okay, the education system must be inclusive, which means there is no barriers
Yeah.
for everyone to participate in the to get the uh, education services. The school cannot deny the right of student with disability to obtain primary, secondary, or tertiary education. Okay, um, break the barriers, build a bridge. Okay, for the person to be able to participate in the education services. Okay. Um, if I describe in detail, it might take a long time because the education system for persons with disability, we have many approach. For example, special education, integrated education, inclusive education. For inclusive education, for example, we have full inclusion or partial inclusion, which is very detailed, and it might take more time. But if you like to know more, maybe you can go on the internet. You can just Google uh, uh, education services for students with disability. Okay, because types of this impairment also have a different uh, education services. Okay, for example, children with autism, we have different education system compared to persons with visual impairment. Same goes with student with hearing impaired, student with dyslexia, and etc.
Okay. Um, Now there is another question.
Mm.
How to support children with disabilities in this pandemic time, especially for they who need therapy, because in some cases they found parents face difficulty to give therapy for their children at home. And the second question, can you explain a little bit about inclusion education for regular children and the disabilities children system in Malaysia? Thank you.
Okay, um, how we can support the children with disability or um, need therapy.
At home, yeah.
Yeah, for the first question.
Mm.
So I think for psychological support, if the parent have uh, devices or have a internet connection, we still can provide the therapy through online. For example, for online psychological support. Okay, but for the physical therapy, especially for those who are using wheelchair, we might have difficulties in providing physical therapy for person who are using certain equipment. What we can do if we are having movement control order or we are having lockdown, in order to take care of the needs of children with disability, um, online support is can be done. We need, it's not only to involve the person, the children with disability itself. We also can educate the parent how to handle or how to facilitate the needs of children with disability. Actually, for in my opinion, this is a good time for parent for the children with disability to learn more about their own children. Okay, because with the children who are staying at home, okay, and if the therapist can provide online support, so the parents also can learn from the therapist, and the parent also can support the needs of the children. Okay, hope this answered the first question. And the second question, what is the inclusive education system for
Screenshot.
children with disability in Malaysia? Okay.
Yeah.
In Malaysia, like I said, we have three types of education system for persons, children with disability. The first one is special education school, which is student with disability study in special education school, study with their friend who are also having the same physical condition, having the same impairment, and they are taught by teachers who are special education teacher who are specially trained to teach the student with impairment. For example, the school for the blind, okay, all the students are visually impaired. The teacher also, um, the teacher specially trained to teach student with visual impairment. Okay. The second system is integrated school. Okay. The student with disability, the children with disability study in the same school with other student without disability, non-disabled student, but in different classroom. And the teacher is special education teacher.
Okay.
Okay. So um, uh, the student study in different classroom, but in the same school, so that even though they didn't study in the same classroom, but they have opportunity to interact with the sighted non-disabled student during the break or the before and after school. Okay. The third system is the inclusion or inclusive system, inclusive education. The student with disability studied together in the classroom, in the school, same with other students. Okay, so the children with disability attend the same school, follow the same uh, classroom, sit in the same classroom with non-disabled students, teach by uh, regular teacher who are not trained in special education, but as the children will be assisted by special education teacher. Okay. So for myself, uh, for my primary education, I obtained education in special education school for the blind. But for my primary education, I went to inclusive program, which is I study together with non-disabled students. At university, there is no inclusive education lah. So I follow the same system like non-disabled student during my university time.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Samsuri.
Yeah.
We have another question from Mas Suban.
Mm.
Thank you, doctor. It is interesting that people not disabled, yes, I agree, but barriers make them become disabled. So disabilities is on barriers, not the person.
Mm.
My question, do you mean that normal people who face barriers also become disabled? And also older people and pregnant women who disabled to do something also considered as disabled person? Thank you.
Okay. According to the definition is in order to consider or in order to categorize the person disabled, the person must have the long-term physical, uh, mental, intellectual, and sensory impairment.
Yeah.
Okay, and when they interact with barriers, they become disabled. But for those non-disabled person who are interact with barriers or pregnant women who interact with barriers, they can consider themselves as temporary disabled. Okay,
Okay, yeah.
so that's why I said when we cater to the needs uh, of persons with disability, when we break the barriers, we will make the situation or our society more inclusive because we accommodate the needs of everyone. We break the barriers. There is no more barriers in our society, so we will become inclusive society.
Okay, thank you. So must be have a long-term physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairment. Yeah, not
Yes,
temporary. Yeah.
yes, yes. Temporary, so you can call the person is temporarily disabled.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Uh, can we move to another question, Dr. Samsuri?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. My name is Hanrezi from Juanda University. I would ask some question.
Mm.
The first question is how to support children with disabilities in this pandemic time. Oh, I think it is already asked.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. It is already answered.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit about inclusion and education for regular children and the disability children? Okay. Let me check. Is there any question? There are no questions from. Is there any question from YouTube, Miss Ridoy? No. Okay. So it is very interesting that it is important to empower people with disabilities to reduce the unemployment. You said that there are about 80% people with disabilities go to become unemployment,
Yeah.
right? So is there anything that we as a family or friends that we can do to support people with disability so uh, they become employed or self-employed.
Okay. Um, yeah, my takes for employment of persons with disability, we need to empower the PWDs itself. Okay, we need to empower their family members, their support system, okay, so that the employment for persons with the employment rate of persons with disability will increase. So in the context of family members and friends, okay, you can help to empower the persons with disability to gain employment. Okay, for example, um, family, friends, or teacher can help to make the persons with disability ready for employment. Okay, how to make them ready for employment? Okay, equip them with the knowledge,
Knowledge. Yeah.
okay? Knowledge
Yeah.
on their subject. Okay, for example, the student who are studying psychology, they would like to become psychologists.
Yeah.
So the friends, family, and lecturers must make the classroom more inclusive so that the student will can obtain the knowledge same with other student. So if we the student have the knowledge, is also path to the employment for him or her to gain employment. Okay. Beside the knowledge, equip them with the skill. Okay, in order to be a to be employed, they need to have the set of skill. So for example, for if you teach them psychology or counseling, equip them with the skill of an effective counselor or effective psychologist. Okay, beside that, the social skill, the soft skill also is very important. Okay, um, communication skill, public speaking skill, so that we can have the family try to expose the student, try to expose the children with disability to speak to the public. Okay, do not afraid to ask question. Okay, do not afraid to give opinion. Okay, do not speak on behalf of the student with disability. This one is very important because sometimes the public would like to know more about student with disability, but they don't want to ask the person himself. So they ask his friend or his family members. So if the public would like to know about the student with disability, about your friend with disability, if if they ask you, you can say, oh, you better ask the person himself, because my friend he only have physical disability, but he can speak, he can communicate with you. So by doing that, you will empower the student with disability or your friend with disability. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, doctor. Um, I understand that um, that people that I saw people with disabilities, I saw that they become introvert.
Yeah.
So it is quite difficult to ask some personal question for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, I do agree that some of persons with disability are having some of like I said during my presentation just now, is internalized barriers, because they are facing so many barriers in their surrounding, so they internalize some of the barriers to themselves. So some of them become introvert, do not interest to socialize. Um, what we can do is we empower we empower the persons with disability. It might take a long time for you to empower the person, but by understanding the experience of the person, by understanding the process of disability that the person has been go through. So I think you can help the person to become the better version of themselves. Okay, understanding the experience and understanding the process of disability. Okay, and
Yeah,
by that you can empower the person.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, okay, doctor. With this pandemic time, is there any data that people with disability most likely how many people with disability in Malaysia get affected by COVID-19? Is there any data?
That is the main problem when dealing with uh, uh, development program for persons with disability. We have lack of research on persons with disability, especially during this pandemic time. We have lack of data uh, on the effect of pandemic COVID-19 for the persons with disability. But um, we can there is no so far from my understanding there is no publication academic publication that discuss of the effect of COVID-19 to persons with disability in Malaysia. But previously one of my colleagues apply the grant, research grant to doing research on the effect of COVID-19 for on education for children with disability. And we also regularly write an article or involved in the interview in the newspaper. So we can disseminate the information on effect of COVID-19 for persons with disability in Malaysia. In newspaper, yes, we have few articles, and um, we also obtain the data from NGO, which is not yet it's not academic research, but the data from NGO, which is not published yet, and we are working to uh, doing research on the effect of COVID-19 for persons with disability in Malaysia.
Okay. Um, Maybe we can do some research together with in Malaysia and Indonesia.
Yeah,
We
I
have
welcome the
we have also
collaboration.
yeah, yeah, please. We have a team also here whose specialty is with people with disabilities. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe we can join some research
yeah.
together.
So you can contact me via email
Yeah,
if you are
I
interested.
will.
Yeah,
Yeah, I will. Okay. About your presentation about our challenges,
yeah,
there are exposure to violence and sexual harassment.
yes.
Yeah. What is your suggestion to decrease these challenges about sexual harassment for people with disabilities?
Okay. In order for persons with disability to take care of themselves, we need to.
Mm,
Education is one of powerful tools.
yeah.
So we need to educate the persons with disability to take care of themselves, okay, um, take care of their personal life, okay. So access to education is very important. So if the persons have an education, so the person can take care of themselves. Okay, but if there is no education, so is might be difficult for the person to take care of themselves, because the harassment, the violence, domestic violence usually is on their in their home. Okay, is is being done by their family members. So it's very difficult for us to
Yeah.
go to their home and inspect everything. So that education, I think, is very important. You need to educate the children with disability about the what is uh, right thing for him or for her. What is the person can do and what is the person cannot do, so that they can take care of themselves.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Dr. Samsuri.
Yeah.
So we can help people with disabilities, not only depend on government to do something for our people with disabilities, but
Yeah.
we as a family and friends can do so much more to help them, uh, so they can break the barrier.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I will check if there is another question. Miss Ridoy, is there any question from YouTube? Because we are live on YouTube channel, Dr. Samsuri.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There are no question. Miss Karina, no question? Okay. How much time we have left? Okay. 13? Okay, 13. Thank you. Yeah. I like to ask Dr. Samsuri about therapy online. You say so that there are is there online support for therapy in Malaysia? Because I never heard about it, about online therapy for people with disabilities. Yes, there are online counseling, but online therapy, I don't know about it. Can you tell us?
Yeah. For the counseling, yes, we do have online psychological support by our Ministry of Education. We also have phone counseling
Yeah.
um, for provided by Ministry of Education and Ministry of Women and Community Development. But for the online therapy, which is specially dedicated for children with disability, um, as far as I know, there is no online therapy, but the online learning for persons with disability is still ongoing, especially for the students who are enrolled in government school. They can still follow the online learning.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Looks like we don't have any question left.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Dr. Samsuri.
Yeah, thank you also for the
Yeah.
organizer for the wonderful experience to share something that really close to my heart, that I hope is benefit everyone here. And looking forward, if you have any question or suggestion, or would like to collaborate for research or something, feel free to contact me via email. I already show my email during my presentation, or you can
Yeah.
the organizer also you can also request my presentation slide from the organizer.
Yeah, thank you. I will share your slide to our participant.
Okay.
I already have your slide. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
Dr. Ika. Thank you, everyone. Hope to see you again.
Yeah, yeah,
Let us work together to make this world
yeah,
better for everyone, including persons with disability.
yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Samsuri. Your presentation is really interesting and give me some insight and knowledge because we have several people with disabilities around us, but somehow we don't know how to what to do or how to help them. Yeah. Yeah, about research collaboration. Yes, indeed, I will send you some email as ASAP, so we can
Currently, I'm working
discuss.
in one project, which is
Yeah.
development of work readiness index for persons with visual impairment.
Okay.
Just started this month, and
Wow.
for this project is for 2 years.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Miss Karina, uh, can we end this session or is there anything to do? Oh, photo. Okay, so Dr. Samsuri, we are asked the committee asked us to take some photographs.
Yeah, sure.
Siapa yang ambil foto? Mas Suban, please open your video. Miss Ridoy. Siapa yang foto, Kak? Yay. Kak Kar, Miss Ridoy, can you take the photographs? Bisa? Kak Obi bisa?
Ini semuanya dari seluruh Indonesia ya.
Ya, ya.
Ibu di Medan, ada di mana lagi?
Yeah. As Mas Suban said already that we have about almost 200 participants who present their article. Yeah, so it is a long conference about 5 days. Yeah. Already, Miss Redoy? Okay, thank you, Dr. Samsuri. It has been a great honor to be your moderator this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ika.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. If the participant has filled the link for the certificate, you can leave this conference. Thank you. Mas Suban, is there anything you want to tell, please?
Okay, Doctor, on behalf of Consortium Psikologi Ilmiah Nusantara, we would like to thank you very much for having here to share your thought, your experience, and help us to understand more about disability and how they face this challenge during the outbreak. Thank you.
My pleasure. thanks also for the opportunity to create the awareness on persons with disability.
Yeah, you're welcome, Doctor. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So see you around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Doctor.
Thank you, doctor.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye.
See you.